President-elect Biden has promised to make the White House reflect America, and he is already set to have one of the most diverse cabinets the country has ever seen. Advocates and allies are hoping that diversity includes representation from the LGBTQ plus community as well. Ruben Gonzalez is the vice president of the Victory Institute, which has been in communications with the Biden transition team about potential LGBTQ plus appointments to his cabinet and administration. He's joining us now. Ruben, thank you for speaking with us. One name that your organization has been pushing for is Dr. Rachel Levine. She is Pennsylvania's Secretary of Health and one of the highest ranking transgender officials in the U.S. What role are you hoping that she will fill in the cabinet, and what would that appointment mean?
Well, we think Dr. Levine would make an exceptional Secretary of Health. We also think that she would be incredible as a Surgeon General for the country. Dr. Levine has served Pennsylvania so well as their Secretary of Health for the last 3 years, and before that as their Physician General. As a previous, in her former life, she was a pediatrician. So Dr. Levine knows how to talk about medical practices and science and relay those to people to get them to understand how to best take care of themselves. We think Dr. Levine would serve our country very well, especially in the crisis that we're in.
What other names have been circulated in your discussions with the Biden transition teams? And can you kind of tip your cards for what possible roles?
Well, there's a lot of talent in our community. We're really excited to report out that Mayor Pete Buttigieg, obviously, who was so helpful in the election for Vice President or President-elect Biden, could serve as a Secretary of Veterans Affairs. As a veteran himself and as a mayor, he has experience in running a large entity, and we think that he would serve the country well and serve veterans well there, given his personal experience. We also have Denise Juneau. Denise Juneau is currently the superintendent in Seattle. She was also the head of schools in Montana, and we think that she would make an exceptional Secretary of Education. Randy Weingarten also has been named as somebody who's in contention for Secretary of Education. We think both of those people would represent the country very well and serve us very well.
And finally, Attorney General Maura. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to mention Attorney General Maura Healey of Massachusetts. She's done a fine job as Attorney General, and we think that she would do an excellent job heading justice for the United States.
What policy changes do you hope to see the Biden administration address, and how will having LGBTQ people by the president's-elect's side help shape those policies, not just advising, but in a cabinet? What could that mean?
Well, we know that President Trump rolled back protections, particularly for transgender individuals during his 4 years in office. We saw rollbacks of protections and rights across the administration in housing and urban development, in health and human services, in education. And so we want to make sure that some of those rollbacks are put back in place. The Obama administration really worked hard to ensure that trans people, trans students, trans veterans, trans people serving in the military, trans people in housing are well protected by our government. And unfortunately, those protections were rolled back in the last 4 years. So we hope that President-elect Biden will undo those rollbacks and bring back protections for trans people that will benefit the entire country. We would know that having a cabinet that reflects our country, having a cabinet and having an administration that has representatives from the LGBTQ community, people that know our lives and the realities of what it's like to be a trans student in a school, will help inform how to better serve trans students in schools. And frankly, it'll help better serve all students when we have protections for them.
And finally, the 2020 election was historic for the LGBTQ plus community. We saw the first two openly gay black men to be elected to the House, first openly transgender person to win a state Senate seat. Now there's a possibility of an LGBTQ appointment to the president's cabinet. Forget about the politics of this for a second. What does this mean for the community, for people in America around the world to see that representation and to see it at the highest levels of government?
Well, one, we know that when LGBTQ people are at the decision-making table, we help to inform decisions and create policies that protect LGBTQ people. There's an old adage that says, if you're not at the table, you might be on the menu. And we know that with having LGBTQ people at the table, in conversations, informing how policies are made, that our community will be better served and protected. We also saw, at the hearts and minds level, we know that when people know LGBTQ people, they start to understand our lives better. They start to get what protections for LGBTQ people means in schools and in the military. And we hope that when they get a chance to know some of these folks serving in legislatures or serving in the federal government for the first time, that they will also see the value that LGBTQ people bring to this country. And we think that it will make the administration stronger and it will make our country stronger.
Well, I know that everybody's going to be watching for the cabinet appointments as they slowly start getting rolled out. Ruben Gonzalez, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.